All right, are you studying for your TCM boards? Then you are in exactly the right place. In this explainer, we are doing a super high-yield focus breakdown of anorexia, or what we call Yanxi. We're going to cut through all the dense theory and give you exactly what you need to recognize the patterns and just nail those exam questions.
Okay, let's dive right in. First things first, we have to make a critical distinction you'll need for any diagnosis. On one hand, you have Yanxi. This is a complete lack of desire to eat. It's the more severe condition. Then you have Shiyu Buzin, which is more of a general loss of appetite, a reduction where a patient might still, pick at their food a little. Getting this right from the very beginning is so key because it points you toward totally different underlying causes.
So why is this such a big deal, not just for your exam, but in the real world, in the clinic? Well, because in TCM, a healthy appetite is a direct reflection of healthy spleen function. It's a sign that the body can actually get qi from food. Think about it. When a patient who's been seriously ill finally gets their appetite back, it's one of the best signs we can see. It tells us their core protective energy, their zhengqi, is finally on the mend.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the 3 root causes of Yanxi. From there, we'll get into the 6 key diagnostic patterns that you absolutely have to know, and we'll group them by their origin: lingering pathogens, spleen deficiency, and stagnation. And then we'll wrap it all up with a quick-fire recap to make sure it all sticks in your head. All right, let's get to the root of the problem. Before we even start memorizing patterns, we need to understand the 3 fundamental ways that digestion can go off the rails. If you can grasp these, telling the patterns apart becomes so much easier. So the crucial takeaway is that a loss of appetite really comes from one of 3 places. First, you've got an external pathogenic attack. The body literally shuts down digestion to focus all its qi on fighting off the bug. Second, you can have a core deficiency of the spleen and stomach from stuff like overwork or a bad diet. And third, emotional disruption, where liver qi stagnation just gums up the whole system. Keep these 3 buckets in mind as we go. Okay, let's explore that first root cause: external pathogens. What happens when the body doesn't fully kick an invader out? Well, that pathogen can hang around and start causing trouble internally, and that leads to these really distinct patterns. So our first pattern here is damp heat, and it's obstructing the middle jiao, right in the center, spleen and stomach. I want you to think of this pattern as a swampy, humid heat that just makes the entire digestive process feel sluggish and heavy and gross. Now pay attention here, because these are your board exam keywords. If you see heaviness in the body, low-grade afternoon fever, and a greasy yellow coat on the tongue, your brain should immediately scream damp heat. The classic formula you've got to remember for this one is San Ren tongue.
Next up, the classic Xiaoyang syndrome. Now with this one, the pathogen is trapped. It's not on the surface anymore, but it hasn't gone deep inside either. It's stuck in this weird half-interior, half-exterior level, which, as you can imagine, creates a very unique set of symptoms. And this is a perfect example of a classic board question. The absolute giveaway for Xiaoyang is alternating fever and chills. You pair that with a bitter taste in the mouth and that hallmark wiry pulse, and you are looking straight at a diagnosis that points directly to one formula: Xiao Chai Hu Tang. Our final lingering pathogen pattern is phlegm heat. Imagine internal heat just cooking down the body's fluids until they get all thick and sticky and turn into phlegm. This nasty phlegm then obstructs the stomach, and it agitates the mind, or the shen, which leads to both physical and emotional symptoms. The key differentiator here, what really sets it apart, is that combination of digestive and mental emotional symptoms. You get the nausea and the reflux, sure, but because that phlegm heat is harassing the shen, you also see things like anxiety and insomnia. The tongue will have a thick, greasy yellow coat, and your pulse is going to be slippery and rapid. The formula to clear this out is Wendan Tong. So we've covered what happens when something extra, like a pathogen, gets in the way. Now let's switch gears and look at what happens when something is missing. We're moving from excess patterns to deficiency patterns, where the real root of the problem is a weak spleen. This is such a foundational pattern in TCM. The spleen is basically the engine of digestion, right? So when its qi or its warming yang function is weak, of course the appetite's going to suffer.
For your boards, you have to know how to tell qi deficiency from yang deficiency. For spleen qi deficiency, you're looking for fatigue, bloating, and loose stools. The tongue will be pale and swollen. The formula? Xiangsha Liu Junzi Tong. Now, if you start adding signs of cold to that picture, like cold limbs or undigested food in the stool, you've moved into yang deficiency, and you'll need the warmer formula, Li Zhongwan.
Okay, our final category. This isn't about invaders or weakness, it's about traffic jams. These are our stagnation patterns, where the appetite is gone because something is physically or energetically blocking the whole digestive process.
First up is phlegm damp. Now this is totally different from phlegm heat. This is cold, it's heavy, it's cloying. It's like a thick fog just settled in the stomach. A huge symptom here is a complete loss of taste. Food just tastes like nothing, like cardboard. You'll also see that foggy headedness and just a general sluggish feeling. But the dead giveaway is on the tongue, a thick, greasy, white coat. Remember, this is a cold pattern. The formula to dry out all this dampness is Ping Wei Song. And finally, we've got the pattern that links our emotions directly to our digestion. In TCM, the liver is in charge of the smooth flow of qi. So when stress or anger constrains the liver, that stuck energy lashes out, and its number one target is the digestive system. We say it overacts on the spleen and stomach. This is your classic stress non-eater. Their appetite is a direct barometer of how they're feeling emotionally. You're going to look for frequent sighing, irritability, and that textbook wiry pulse. A great confirmatory sign is that plump pit sensation in the throat. To get that qi moving again, your go-to formula is Yueju 1. Okay, let's lock all this in with a final high-yield recap. This right here is your cheat sheet. For each pattern, we're just going to focus on the single biggest giveaway that's going to pop up on your exam.
Let's do a lightning round. Damp heat, afternoon fever, greasy yellow coat. Got it. Xiaoyang, alternating fever and chills. Phlegm heat, greasy yellow coat plus anxiety. Spleen deficiency, fatigue, pale swollen tongue. Phlegm damp, foggy head, greasy white coat. And liver qi stagnation, emotional triggers, and a wiry pulse. Lock those pairs in your brain. Look, mastering these patterns will definitely get you through your boards, but try to remember what they actually represent. They're clues to rebuilding a person's core vitality. So as you study, keep this question in your mind. How does restoring that digestive fire do more than just fix an appetite? How does it literally transform a person's entire qi? Because that is the real power you're learning to wield. Thanks for joining this explainer.